Okay, so the first thing we wanted to ask was how you kind of got involved in the whole shoemaking trade and when it kind of started.
Well, my maestro here has been in the shoe trade for more than 2 generations. Because his father, his grandfather used to not make shoes but repair shoes. So then he decided at the end of the 90s to get into bespoke measured shoes to evolve from the simple, well, not really simple, but from the shoe repair to actual shoemaking. It's quite a big step.
Right.
Yeah.
And when did he open the shop here in Florence?
He opened this shop here in 2000, and he was in he had a shoe repair shop on the other side of town before that, where he literally only did shoe repairs.
Okay. And when did you get started?
I've been here for a year now, so it's already getting towards learning slowly how to do stuff, constructing a shoe.
So you're his apprentice?
Yep.
Yes. And how many others work here in the shop with you both?
We have a Japanese girl and another Italian guy in the back.
Okay.
Been there for just under 4 months. He has a shoe repair shop down in southern Italy, and also wanted to learn how to make shoes, so he joined the crew.
Okay. And now can you kind of explain the process of how you go about making a handmade pair of shoes?
Well, this is the first step. You're quite lucky that you're witnessing the first stage of an actual Goodyear welt construction. So you start with the actual inner sole of the shoe, on which you trace a line, so you can then come to something like this. So you start building a wall on which you actually start stitching the whole shoe on. So basically on this wall here, you use a tool like this to go into the wall and to stitch the upper shell and the inner cell, and the actual welt, which will then lie just on this line here. So it all has to be very smooth and perfect. Because then from this stage here, once the stitching is finished, it goes from this to something like this. This gives a fairly clear image of how the Goodyear welt stitching is made. So basically, this is the wall on which you start then stitching the welt, and that all the shoe is stitched onto this wall here, and then on this welt here, you then stitch on the sole on this welt, which covers the whole body of the shoe. And we fill this center part up with cork, usually, and the central part here is filled up with stronger, tougher, thicker leather to fill in the gaps. And leather, because it's more transparent, so air comes in and out. Rubber would just neutralize the whole effect of the shoe. And then you get a shoe like this. Once you've chosen the leathers, the construction, the model, the last. This is literally the beginning.
And so how long does it take from when the client comes in to get their foot measured to the point when it's completely finished?
Well, for a new client, we're looking at times from 5 to 6 months, so quite a long time, but because we have to prepare the last, which is pretty much the only thing that gets made outside the shop. It gets made outside the shop, and then it gets modified in the shop to bring all the measurements of the client's foot onto the last. So we add leather if the client needs it. We add leather to get onto the client's measurements. Otherwise, we dig into the last if the client needs digging into. So say a client has a bulging big thumb, we just add a modification on the inside here to recall the actual foot of the client. That it takes such a long time also because we don't only prepare the last, but we also prepare a fitting shoe, which is something like this. It's made with scrap leathers and just a rubber sole stuck on. It's not stitched or in any way, so it's pretty much like building an actual shoe, but obviously the main work, the most difficult and demanding work is cut out because it's all just glued on and not even stitched. And this is just to see if all the measures are perfect, so we can write on the shoe, we can open it with a knife if we need to, so we can see how the foot rests inside. This shows pretty much how we're working on the foot. And from here we see if everything's perfect, we then carry on to making the original shoe, so with the leather the client has chosen, with the stitching the client has chosen, and everything so on.
And how many different types of leather do you normally work with? Is there...
The most common is obviously the box calf, which is what most shoes are made of. And then there's the more demanding clients. For the most demanding clients, we have leathers. Obviously, crocodile, which is always the most expensive, goes around 20 euros a centimeter. Shark is another nice leather, quite exotic. And we have the crocodile, the elephant, which is also very snazzy little type of leather. And any kind of reptile known to man, so very squammy. Anything you can find, really, from any fish to any reptile to any. And that's pretty much it.
And how much does, like, what is the price range of like a custom pair of shoes?
Oh, for the box calf, we start at 1,000 euros. That's pretty much the base starting price. And then, obviously, as you choose the more exotic leathers and the most complicated constructions, the price goes up. So, obviously, if you choose something like this, we call it the Tirolese stitching. If you choose something like that, it's going to be, and the expensive leathers, it's going to be way more expensive than a standard Goodyear welt box calf shoe.
And are mainly your clients from Italy, or are they from all over the world?
Mainly Japan and the States.
Very nice.
Quite a lot of tourists from all over the world. Literally.
Yeah.
We've got French guys, English guys.
That's great.